ties, bilateral ties between the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the African countries to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia
con el bienestar, el desarrollo.
For the continuation of development in the African continent and the member states of the African Union. The African continent, since the inception, has faced remarkable challenges driven by external and internal circumstances and the myriad crises and realistic trade exchange, which imposed lots of conflicts in the African continent, which has become the means of disstability, and it was a hindrance for achieving the aspiration of sustainable development. For this cause, having economic independence, to be economically independent, this is the noble goal of the African countries. Through the multilateral economic ties, we can face the challenges, foreign challenges, which have a negative impact on our people, such as migration and the forced displacement because of the lack of job opportunities for our young people. In this context, we would like to call upon in the framework of this partnership between Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the African countries, just to harness our efforts to provide this continent with what is required to in the area of technology and improving education in our across the kingdom, and to activate job markets and upskilling the workforce in this world in which the telecommunication and the connectivity is the key foundation. So this should be the key foundation and the key framework to encourage collective action and efforts, and to enhance the ties between the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the African countries, because no need from one side support, but we need to have this mutual support and foster a partnership which will pay off for the mutual benefits of both parties. So the foreign policy which exerted by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to work with the partners without any hindrance and challenges is the main basis for success and the fruitful partnership. The proximity, the geographical proximity necessitates this kind of cooperation, and just to get this robust partnership, which can help us create a healthy environment which reflects our mutual interest and shared interest. We share the same vision, and we provide wide-ranging opportunities in atmosphere of security and stability, and we are in desperate need to enhance and boost our national economy. In this case, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia can play a pivotal role in this regard. So I highly appreciate to invite and encourage the private sector to be our partners in Guinea. I firmly believe that the advantages and the benefits that provided in the framework of this summit will have some sort of mechanism for a transparent and accessible mechanism to ensure strong partnership, which will drive the economic development of our country. And I hope this is the very beginning of partnership between the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the African countries. Thank you.
Well, I thank His Excellency the President of Equatorial Guinea for, and now I give the floor the President of Central African Republic, Faustin Touadéro, to deliver his speech. Okay. Your Excellencies, this is the first Saudi African summit opening today in Riyadh, the Saudi capital of Riyadh. Will allow me first to extend my thanks and gratitude and congratulate the custodian of the Holy Mosque, Salman bin Abdulaziz, and the Crown Prince, His Royal Highness, Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz, Crown Prince, Prime Minister, for this excellent organization of this summit, which actually gives us an opportunity to work together for the common interest for both, the nations in Saudi Arabia and in the African, also to open all fields, political and economic arenas. I would like also to extend my thanks to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for this warm hospitality for me and for the accompanying delegation. Something actually we felt since we dropped here. This summit gives me an ample opportunity to express our gratitude to the King of Saudi Arabia for the continuous support for the Saudi Development Fund supporting the economic projects in our country. This summit is held within the framework of a complicated situation across the globe, where are so many tensions that actually raise many concerns and fear. Our Republic, Central African Republic, actually, we are very interested to adhere to the principles of the United Nations to have a lasting and fair and just solution for the conflicts in the world. Actually, these conflicts actually threaten the international peace and security. Also, we would like to take this opportunity for economic development. Our country actually would like to take this opportunity to promote investment with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and push investments in the natural resources in our country. I guess that this partnership for us is an ample opportunity for both of us to build on well, actually, our country has been under occupation for a long time. Now, this situation, of course, led to some instability and poverty in our country for a long time, Your Excellencies, Your Highnesses. Now, we restored peace and stability to our republic, and we adopted a new constitution. that fosters international peace and security, and also promotes the opportunities of investment and business that improved remarkably in our country. We are quite keen on having cooperation with all countries interested to support this cooperation, actually provided that this cooperation will be based on principles of equality and mutual respect and the sovereignty of the Central African Republic. Well, with the horizons of economic cooperation, actually, it's very inclusive. We believe that the results of this summit will be very effective in building a complete partnership with us with regard to sustainable development for both countries, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and also for our republic. Thank you so much. Now, I give the floor to the President of Zimbabwe, Emerson Mnangagwa, to deliver his speech.
Your Excellency, Mr. Zali Assoumani, Chairperson of the African Union, Excellencies, Heads of Government, Mr. Musa Faki Mohammed, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, ladies and gentlemen, it is my singular honor to address this distinguished gathering of the South African Summit. May I at the outset express my sincere gratitude to His Highness Salmani bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, King of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, for the warm welcome and excellent hospitality accorded to me and my delegation since our arrival in this historic city of Riyadh. The hosting of this summit, being the first between Saudi Arabia and countries of Africa, is most opportune, given immense opportunities in this post-COVID-19 pandemic economic era, the global challenges confronting us, such as unilateralism, climate change, conflict, unfair terms of trade and global economic imbalances, deserve our urgent attention. The Arabian Peninsula and the African continent are natural partners, given the long history of cultural and economic exchanges. This forum, therefore, offers an institutional framework to foster South African cooperation as we modernize and industrialize our respective countries. Further, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is equally a valuable partner for the realization of global peace and security in our region. Zimbabwe is thus pleased to be part of this historic summit. Similarly, Zimbabwe is gravely concerned with the tragic events unfolding in Gaza, in violation of international humanitarian law. We reiterate our calls for the revival of the political process towards lasting peace in that region. May I conclude by warmly congratulating Your Highness and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for hosting this critical summit between Africa and Saudi Arabia. I thank you. Shukran.
I thank President for his speech. I now give the floor Dr. Sami Hassan, the President of the Tanzanian Republic, to deliver her speech.
Comoros and Chairperson of the African Union, Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, good afternoon. I thank and congratulate the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for hosting this first African Saudi Summit. We appreciate the generous hospitality accorded to all of us. Your Highness, we note with appreciation Saudi Arabia's resolve to partner with Africa on human capital development. And just a note of information that in July this year, Tanzania hosted an African Heads of State Human Capital Summit, which underscored the importance of investment or investing in human capital, particularly the youth, as a roadmap to prosperity. Our desire is to see this new African-Saudi partnership build on the commitments of African leaders by mobilizing support and resources towards human capital development. Your Highness, on the issue of food security, I dare say Africa has what it takes to be a global food basket. However, massive investment in mechanization and modernization of agriculture are required. Taking an example of my country, Tanzania, being a food self-sufficient country, our contribution to global food security is very limited. As such, we have set an ambitious agenda to boost agricultural sector growth from 5 to 10% by the year 2030. This is through a budget increase from $88 million in 2020 to $420 million in 2023. Now, despite the efforts by the government, private sector, and the local community, more needs to be done. And thus, we welcome the commitment of this summit to prioritize investment in safeguarding regional and global food security. Your Royal Highness, for Africa and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to ensure full realization of the outcomes of this summit, there has to be a continuous engagement, robust actions taken, appropriate coordination done, and solidarity among ourselves. Mobilization of public and private resources to support development interventions in Africa is the right step to advancing our development agenda. It is in this light that we welcome and appreciate the pledges and commitments made by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to enhance trade and investment within Africa and Saudi Arabia. We believe this summit will strengthen African-Saudi ties and will create a new avenues for cooperation. Lastly, Your Highness, we pray for the peace and prosperity of both the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and African countries and the peoples. I thank you very much for your kind attention. Shukran.
أشكر فخامة الدكتورة سامية حسن على كلمتها. والآن أدعو فخامة الرئيس بولا أحمد تينوبو رئيس جمهورية نيجيريا الاتحادية لإلقاء كلمته فليتفضل.
To deliver his speech.
Your Royal Highness, the Crown Prince and Prime Minister Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz, Your Excellencies and Royal Highnesses, Honorable Ministers, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin by expressing Nigeria's profound gratitude and appreciation to His Majesty King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, the custodian of the two holy mosques, for convening this summit. It is timely, and we thank him and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for the warm welcome and hospitality. The world has returned to the era of great power rivalry that threatens to ensnare emerging markets in conflict, with the Middle East and Africa as battlegrounds. We must not let that happen. Saudi Arabia has always been tethered to the African continent and was even a part of it before plate tectonics shifted the Arabian Peninsula. That notwithstanding, the people remained connected by history, culture, religion, and trade. The exploits of Amr bin al-As and his nephew Uqba bin Nafi, pilgrimage to Mecca and trade, further cemented the bonds between Africa and Arabia until the advent of the modern state system. Your Excellencies, we must reconnect economies and key markets as a matter of survival. Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 of post-hydrocarbon smart cities and Africa's Agenda 2063 of inclusive development provide a clear path to a future of peace and prosperity for developing countries. The African continental free trade area of 876 million talented youth is the political economy of the future, with Saudi Arabia as a partner for joint development and growth. Under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's leadership, Nigeria is committed to attracting business and investment by ensuring policy predictability, secure property rights, and effectiveness of contracts. We have hit the ground running with reforms that have established a unified exchange rate and made it easier for foreign investors to exit with their funds. Subsidies have been removed, and we're focusing on the real sectors of the economy instead of consumption. ECOWAS, under President Tinubu's leadership, has taken a firm stance against the overthrow of constitutional governments in the region. Do not be hoodwinked by romantic notions of military takeovers. They end up pointing their guns at each other, trying to control the capital cities and leave the border areas to the terrorists. For those who may still not be aware, this poses an existential threat, and there must be no weak links in ECOWAS if we are to prevail. There's so much to discuss, but so little time. Therefore, I conclude by expressing my deep concern regarding the situation in Palestine. We commend the Kingdom for its commitment to the defense of the legitimate rights of Palestinians. We also reaffirm our support for a peaceful resolution of the Palestine-Israeli conflict, anchored on the two-state solution in line with UN resolutions and the Arab Peace Plan. Nigeria and Africa share similar visions of durable peace in the region. Nigeria commends Saudi Arabia's efforts towards securing the permanent membership of the AU, of the African Union, in the G20. We further seek your support for Nigeria and Africa's largest economy.
Excellency, try to continue, please.
Well, it's done anyway. Thank you. Nigeria commends Saudi Arabia's efforts towards securing the permanent membership of the African Union in the G20. We further seek your support for Nigeria as Africa's largest economy and most populous country to become a member of the G20 as it deserves to be. I thank you all.
أشكر فخامة الرئيس تينيبو على كلمته والآن أدعو فخامة الرئيس
I give the floor the President of Burundi to deliver his speech.